This week on the Baseline Podcast, Josh and I preview the Super Bowl. That means everything around the Super Bowl. We break down each team, who we think is going to win. We give our predictions, but ultimately, we also discuss what is your favorite Super Bowl food and also what you think is the best commercial of all time for the Super Bowl. As you know, there's many opinions. We talk about it. We also break down the big trades in the NBA, specifically the Kyrie Irving trade, and what does that mean for the Dallas Mavericks and the Brooklyn Nets? All that and so much more coming up on the Baseline Podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Baseline Podcast. I'm Ben, that's Josh, and we are back. It is Super Bowl week, which means chaos is going to happen all over Kansas City and Philadelphia, because let's be honest, outside of there, do you really watch Super Bowl? I don't know. We will see what happens. We'll talk about, we'll talk about what our favorite Super Bowl ad was, maybe some of our favorite things that come with the Super Bowl a little later on, but we don't like just to share what the whole show is going to be about. We like to add some other news, right, Josh? We like to add news. But before we get there, Josh, how was your weekend? Was there any snow? Was it raining? Was it sunny? What was it like? What was your weekend like?
It was just cold, honestly, dude. Nothing outside of that, really. Didn't really get around to watching it. Well, I watched some college basketball this weekend too, but that's about it.
Oh, just simple. I like it. Simple. Same for me, man. It's just been a simple weekend with long weekend here in Hungary. By the way, we have ski breaks. Fun fact, which means students literally we give time off so they can go skiing. Never would happen in West Liberty because we don't really have ski places except Mad River Mountain. But that's besides the point. We are going to move into a couple kind of breaking news things that have happened this week and in the world of sports, specifically basketball. Josh, what happened? I think it was 2 days ago now, for the Kyrie Irving saga, and what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think this is the first big blockbuster trade, if you will, of the NBA season, and there may be some more coming. Russell Westbrook's name's been thrown around, I think, a
Always
couple
up.
times, but I think getting Kyrie out of Brooklyn has been a long time coming. Just with all the personal decisions he's made for himself, it never made sense for why Brooklyn was holding on to him or why he even wanted to stay in Brooklyn that long. So I think him being out of that organization, out of that team, just made sense a long time ago, and now it's happening. But Dallas is a
Interesting.
destination I don't really think makes a lot of sense. Just I'm never a fan of two ball dominant point guards in your backcourt, and that's exactly what Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving are going to be. We saw Russell Westbrook and James Harden kind of work in Houston a little while back, but then we saw Kyrie with James Harden, and we've seen LeBron with Russell Westbrook, and we've seen, I think, a couple other instances where it's just you can't have two ball dominant guards in the same backcourt. And then when you take away those two guys, then it's like now they don't have Dinwiddie, they don't have Finney Smith, and there's not really any other bigs on their roster that are super scary. So Dallas is just going to be running between these two guards that are going to dominate the ball most of the time, and I'm not sure how that's going to work out for them. For Brooklyn, though, speaking of other guys that might go, Kevin Durant trade rumors are heating up as well. So Brooklyn's future is going to be interesting, but I think that this keeps Brooklyn about the same. Honestly, I don't think it makes Dallas any better, though.
Yeah, it's interesting for me. I'm interested to see what happens, because the whole I guess Irving, unless Irving can be Russell Westbrook that averages 14 assists a game, it's not going to work out, I think, because I don't see how that message meshes. And let's say, Doncic gets hurt or he gets in foul trouble. Now it's like you're putting all the pressure on Irving, kind of like he was early in his career in Cleveland when he struggled to be consistent, because it's got to put all the pressure on him. And you look at Brooklyn. I mean, they got some two good pieces plus a first round pick, in 2029. But I think what I've heard is they're also possibly going to keep Kevin Durant, build around him, use their picks so they can go get some guys. But it's very interesting to me, the thought process Mark Cuban and the front office have in Dallas. You're going to need more pieces than just Kyrie. If they're both on and they both score, then yeah, they can win you some games. But where's that inside presence that's going to score inside? Where's that, that 3 or a 4 that can stretch the floor? I don't know if they have that. And I've looked at the NBA this year, and what it shows me is you have to be a pretty good defensive team, and you have to be able to stretch the floor. You know, the Cavaliers are doing that. The Celtics are doing that. The Nuggets do that very well. All these other teams, they don't just have a one guy. They have a few guys that can go in there. I look at the roster, and as Josh posted on his personal Instagram, he posted that picture of like it's not a threatening lineup.
A lineup nobody's scared of.
If you look at it, it's not. Like if you just look at the names, you're like, that's what they got. So it's interesting. And on the other side of that, you know, Kyrie's real main destination was LA to go to the Lakers. We also know that the Clippers were involved. We also know that I
think the Suns sent an offer as well.
Yes,
that included Chris Paul.
So I think Joseph Tsai, he really didn't want to send him to where he wanted to go. And you know, you look at that, even him going to LA, and let's say Russell Westbrook got swapped. One, I think Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant, that might have actually been pretty cool to see together. But you look at Kyrie with LeBron, could they have relished what they had in Cleveland? I doubt it, because we don't know with Kyrie. He'd be going to California, which is another strict state on COVID and everything like that. And you have that whole thing you have to deal with. I think in general, this is a Kyrie. I think the rest of the season is Kyrie's test year. Is he going to be consistent? Is he going to show up? And is he going to play well? If he gets those three, then he can either get an extension with Dallas or he finds a place that he wants to go. At the end of the day, I think it's going to be very, very interesting what happens.
Yeah, if you ask me, dude, too, since you brought up Josiah, I think he's making a great case for worst owner in the NBA here pretty soon.
Awful.
Lost the James Harden trade with getting Ben Simmons. I think he's going to lose this trade. He's going to lose Kevin Durant here eventually, it's just –
this is the thing.
I love watching New York teams, the big market teams that the
great.
media just wishes could be good. Like that team with Harden, Kyrie, and Kevin Durant was supposed to be the NBA champions the next 4 seasons. They convinced us, and we were told by everybody on TV, the talking heads. And anytime it's the Knicks, it's the Bulls, it's the Lakers, the Clippers, any of the big market teams fail, I love it because the media just cries when they don't win. It's hilarious. I love it.
Well, even you think about the fact that Kendrick Perkins posted something on Twitter, and he said like something like this is going to be like in like I think 10 years going to be a 30 for 30 on the worst like deals of all time or whatever. And like,
well, it's even not even just Josiah. It's Brooklyn as a whole. Remember when they made the trade for Paul Pierce and
it was the
Jason
worst.
Terry,
It was
Kevin
terrible.
Garnett. I mean, the team was decent. It made the playoffs, but it set them back. All those picks that Boston got in exchange, it set Brooklyn back. It made Boston way better in the long run. And we're seeing, I guess, another terrible assembly and breakdown and possibly even more struggle for years to come. And it's awesome, dude.
Well, I love seeing it. And you know, it's also a struggle. It seems like for the last couple of years has been the Los Angeles Lakers. Right now, they're under 500. They're in the 13th place. They're only a few games out of the playoff spots, but still 13th place. But LeBron James, who, by the way, at age 38 or 39, whatever he is now, he's averaging 30 points a game, 8 assists, 8 rebounds. Quite stunning, to be honest with you. But he is closing in here. I believe it could happen either today as we're recording this on Monday. So it could happen today on Monday, or it could happen Tuesday or Wednesday or whenever he plays next. He will be passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the all-time leading scorer in NBA history. We've talked about it a little bit last week. Josh, in your sense, what happens when LeBron does this? Does this change people's minds about is he now the greatest? Is he now the greatest above MJ, above Kareem, or do you think this doesn't really change anything other than the fact that it's just numbers?
I think it's just numbers. Because the big thing in the LeBron Michael Jordan debate has never been about the numbers. That's what LeBron fans argue, is that the numbers compared to the numbers that Jordan put up have been better. And this will just, I guess, reinforce or add another, I guess, check mark to the LeBron side. But the Jordan camp has always been adamant about 6-0. So I think too that it's always going to be brought up that Jordan retired multiple times. There were prime years that he missed. And I mean, there is, I guess, to a degree, we'll never know. We can only assume. But I mean, if LeBron's the greatest or scores the most points all time, I think it at least cements him at number 2 player of all time. there's not really an argument for like a Kobe or a Shaq or
No.
anybody like for second, and just the longevity too. Like I think that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is a top 3 player of all time too, mostly because of how just the high level that he played at for so long to get to that all-time
And
scoring level.
fun fact, LeBron has had over 2,000 career three-pointers made. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had one. So imagine this man put up over 38,000 points in two-pointers and free
Didn't
throws.
2-pointers, yeah.
That's what makes me very hesitant to even go. I mean, it's impressive. And that's the thing. We're not taking anything away from LeBron. I want everyone to understand that. Like, but I've always had the issue, and I think I've said this to Josh. It's been even hard for me to even put LeBron and Michael in the same category because they're two different players. They're two totally different players, two totally different positions, two totally different eras. It's almost like, why aren't we talking about Wilt as the greatest of all time? Why aren't we talking about Kareem? Like we don't hear those names as often. And so I think for me, that's where I think just trying to like understand like who is the greatest. It just depends on, I think, where you stand and who you believe, your personal opinion. It's the personal opinion. I think what people need to realize. Stop arguing about it, guys. It's your personal opinion.
Yeah, I guess. Dude, every now and then too, I just love watching The Last Dance too, and I'm sitting there drinking the boomer juice and being like, oh yeah, Michael Jordan is the best all time,
Yeah.
all over again. Like it's such a good doc, so fun to watch. I don't think you can argue will to win, at least like outside of the greatest of all time debate. Like, did anybody want to win as bad as Michael Jordan? I don't think
No,
so.
no. And I think, and that's the thing is, whatever it is, I think that, we do got to say that LeBron is a top 3, probably top 2 player of all time.
Yeah, like right
It's not
now,
even close.
I think for a while I've thought it's been Michael 1, LeBron 2, and Kareem 3. I think that's
I think
how it's
that's
gonna
fair. I
stay
think
too
that's
here for a
fair.
while. Yeah.
It's fair. I don't think that's not saying a lot. That's just it's being fair, right? So I
Those
think
are
at the end
three
of the day,
guys with an insane amount of rings and an
yeah,
insane amount of points and
yeah,
an insane well, I know Michael did play into his 40s. He doesn't have the total amount of years because of the retirement, but you could argue all 3 longevity too.
yeah, and I think
To an
with
extent.
LeBron, I mean, you look at LeBron, like he won what 3 rings with 3 different franchises. I mean, that's pretty impressive too. Taking 3 franchises and getting rings. And again, I don't know what LeBron's future is like, but it's going to be very interesting to see how much
We
longer
do
does he
know
play.
that in the future he will be playing with Bronny. We just do not know which team
I
and
will
whether or
laugh.
not that team will win 12 games or 13 games.
I will laugh, by the way, if it's like the Charlotte Hornets or like the Sacramento Kings, like right, like some team that you just can never see LeBron on. And he's
Some
just gonna go,
lousy
oh,
team. Yeah.
he's
What's
gonna go,
what's the what's
oh.
the smallest market in the NBA, would you say?
It's probably got to be. Mm, Indiana Pacers are up there as a small market. I would
Small
have to
market team,
say,
yeah.
I would have to say, maybe Utah Jazz would be another one.
Yeah.
Um, the Charlotte Hornets, that's another one that I feel is very small market. Um, who else is
I'm
in?
trying to think of them all off the top of my head. It's better if I had like a
San
visual.
Antonio could be, depending on how you look at San Antonio.
Yeah, I mean San Antonio I think is like one of the top 8 largest cities in the United
That's
States,
true. Yeah, yeah.
but
It feels small market.
it
Um,
does.
I
Portland
was
sounds like small market too.
Portland, yeah, Portland, Detroit. That's another one. That would be funny.
Yeah.
That one would be hilarious if
I
he
th-
went
I
to
think the
Detroit.
Jazz though is like the funniest location or most random location
Yeah, that
just
one.
cuz it's like Salt Lake City and it just
Yeah,
doesn't
that.
seem like a
I'm trying
place
to
LeBron would want to be.
I guess Memphis. Memphis, Tennessee's kind of big, but it's not super big. But Memphis could be one too.
Hmm.
But anyways, that is a fun question for you all to
Anyway,
answer in the
yeah.
comments. In the comments, answer it
Where will
below.
LeBron and Bronny team
Yes.
up in 2025? Would it be?
And who is your goat? Who is your goat? That let us know in the comments. Let us know. DM us whatever you want to do. That would be very much appreciated. But moving on, Sir Josh, we're going to touch real quickly on 2 hires in the college football world, and then we're going to move to the game, the Super Bowl, because it
Hmm.
is Super Bowl week. So Josh, let us know that news that happened with the old Alabama.
Oh, yeah. Both hires were by, excuse me, same program, and they both are underwhelming, head
Yes.
scratching, interesting, I think.
Very
So
weird.
first off, we get the news at the end of the week that Tommy Rees
Yeah.
leaving Notre Dame, headed to
Weird.
Alabama.
Weird.
And then yesterday, the news breaks that Kevin Steele from Miami, defensive coordinator, is heading to Alabama. It's actually that was actually Nick Saban's first defensive coordinator hire when he came to Alabama, was Kevin Steele. So
Yeah.
he stuck around for like as a linebackers coach and other things. So now he's come full circle. And Tommy Rees, I don't think anybody really thinks
No.
super highly of him. I mean, he's a young guy.
Yeah.
Been at Notre Dame for a little bit, coaching the quarterbacks and now the offensive coordinator. But Notre Dame's offenses have been pretty average. And I mean, Kevin Steele's already been at Alabama before. He was at Miami previously. So I guess side note, Mario Cristobal is also going to have two coordinators
I
to hire
know. That's what
now
I was thinking of.
after firing Josh Gaddis too, which we talked about in the last show. But yes, at least in my recent memory, Ben, Tommy Rees and Kevin Steele is the least sexy, least, or I guess most underwhelming offensive slash defensive coordinator duo that he's had at Alabama. Would you agree?
It sounds like
It's
two.
definitely not the Steve Sarkisian hire, the Lane Kiffin hire, or
It's
Brian Dayball, or anything hot like that.
it sounds like two guys that you meet at like the local diner that are there, like local farmers that just come in and like get some food, like Tommy Rees and Steele, like the last name Steele, just thinks of a farmer, right? Like I don't know, it's just weird. To me, like at least the Steele at least makes sense because he's been there. Saban knows how he coaches or whatever. But the Reese hire is just like there are so many other names that you could have flaunt money at, that you could have just bribed basically to come coach with you at Alabama, and you
I
chose
mean,
this
just
one.
let's just throw out some of the names that have moved around. We've seen Garrett Riley move. I think Kendall Browse was another hot name. Washington's offensive coordinator, whose name escapes me at the moment, was another hot name. And on the defensive side too, Jesse Minter, I think, was a hot name, but he's going to stay
Yeah,
at Michigan, it looks like. Jim Leonard, still
yeah.
currently a free agent. Scott Frost and Paul Chryst, both on the offensive side of the ball, still available and unhired. It seemed like there was a lot
And the
better
old
options
offense
out
and the
there.
old offensive coordinator for the LSU when they won the national title, that Brady, that was with the Panthers when
Joe
he got
Brady, yeah,
really
that was
really
another name
let
that we were
loose.
throwing around too. So Tommy Rees definitely wasn't the name that I thought. Kevin Steele definitely wasn't the name that I thought. Definitely not the hires that we're used to seeing Nick Saban make. I mean, Nick Saban's always been successful because he makes the big name hires, the I guess
The O'Brien hires,
important hires.
Sarkisian,
Yes,
yeah.
the ones that work. But I've seen some other sports talk people say that Alabama is bigger than who the offensive defensive coordinator is. Like the school is still going to recruit itself. But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, well, those are the guys that are still calling the plays.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like you can get the talent, but are they going to be able to continue to develop at the level Alabama's been at? So from that standpoint, Ben, especially since they're losing Will Anderson, Bryce Young, and it seemed, at least at the moment, it doesn't look like they have many big time names replacing them. It looks like Bama, if they ever were to be, I guess,
A
taking a
down
step
year,
back,
yeah.
it looks like it could be now. But then you look at like the 2023 class and how it's number one and one of the
Yeah.
best classes Nick Saban's ever gotten. And then you're like, okay, well, maybe this is just a small blip in the radar, and then they'll be, back on top here in a couple of years. But at least at the moment, these hires don't really scare me.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't, these don't really, yeah, they're just not flashy. But
But let me play devil's advocate, at least
yeah.
on Tommy Rees for 1 second here. Is the fact that Brian Kelly wanted to bring him to LSU and the fact that Nick Saban has been interested in him make you think maybe Notre Dame just hasn't had the offensive personnel and Tommy Rees is actually secretly a genius and has gotten way more out of that offense than what he should have?
No. I I feel like then he would have performed better against some of the teams that he should have performed better with. Like against Ohio State, I would think that he could put up more than 7 points. Right? We saw what this defense, what the Ohio State defense was like at the end of the year. Like I just think that there's no matter
Yeah,
like
that game did trick a lot of people into thinking Ohio State had an elite defense, didn't
yeah,
it?
that's what I'm saying. And like if you're an elite play caller and you know what you're going to do, you should have been able to carve Ohio State's defense left and right. And I think, and maybe I'm being too harsh on it, but I even
They
throughout the
did
year,
heat up at the end of the
yeah,
year.
but it didn't. But it wasn't anything that was impressive. Like it wasn't like, wow, like this is blowing me away. That's for me. What's like, what do you see, and what does Nick Saban see? And maybe we're just blind to it. Maybe he'll be the best player coach in all of football next year. Could be, but at the end of the day, it's all about what Nick Saban wants. And so, you know what I also want though, Josh, is to break down this freaking Super Bowl, because it's going to be a heck of a game. It's going to be fun. But before we get into the Super Bowl, Josh, I have a fun little question for you that also everyone below can answer. What is your favorite Super Bowl commercial of all time? Go.
Favorite of all time, dude? Man, that's a tough question to answer right now.
It is not tough. It's easy.
Well, I don't remember many, but the Doritos ones always kind of stick out.
The monkey one, is it the monkey one, the Mountain Dew, or is that Doritos?
Monkey something baby.
Yeah, monkey baby. Monkey
something baby. Three things that don't go together. But I can't remember who made that.
Monkey,
was that a Doritos ad?
I don't know. Monkey Bubble Baby Super Bowl. Hold on.
No, I don't think that was the second one.
Puppy Monkey Baby.
Puppy Monkey Baby. Oh.
It's one of the greatest Super Bowl ads of all time. That is a good one.
Man.
Puppy Monkey
Weird
Baby.
one for
Puppy
sure.
Monkey Baby.
I don't remember any from last year.
Because they've all got crapped over the last few years.
I feel like they've gotten worse as the years have gone on. But
like when we were kids, there were so many good ones when we were kids.
I'll just go with Doritos as a company. I can't point to a single one, but I always enjoy their ads.
My favorite one was So God Gave Us a Farmer, which was like a FFA combined with, I think, was it Ford? I think Ford was the one, but for me, being a country kid, like that was like my favorite. Like even though it wasn't funny or anything, it was just like the message that still, I remember watching it the next day in ag class, like just like what God gave us. And I feel like I wish we had more of those ads now instead of all these political ads, but just like, this is what God created and what the job is. And so that was for me a good one. So below, let us know your favorite Super Bowl ad of all time. We don't talk about the halftime show because they're all just garbage. So who's
performing this year?
Oh, I don't know. And who cares? No one cares.
You did your due diligence on the ad. I'm gonna look up who's performing at this halftime show. I got last year's show. I actually loved.
Well, I'm not a big rap guy, so that just to me was
it just felt like they brought somebody that fit more of like what the NFL is than like these pop artists like Bruno Mars and Katy Perry that are just like soft and don't really fit in with the sport. But it's Rihanna.
Soft. Oh, that just does not help at all. That's just gonna make it worse.
This is not going to be the best of ads either, or not ads, halftime shows. So this is probably one that I won't really care to watch.
Same. That will be when I pull on the old Harry Potter video game.
I think it's Rihanna.
It probably is.
There was a picture of her at least let me see who they actually got though. Sorry, listeners, you can maybe skip ahead 10 seconds. I don't know. Yeah.
If you're watching, you can just read my Hungarian shirt and tell me what it says. Yeah,
it'll be Rihanna.
Oh,
all right, confirmed Rihanna. Yeah, that's one that
I'll be playing video games during the halftime show.
Yeah, big time downgrade, dude, from last year. But anyway,
moving on
that's
from
the halftime show.
Let's move on from the halftime show. Let's talk. Let's talk football. Josh, let's break down, each team, what we think are the X factors of each team, and then we'll give a prediction of who we think is going to win and why. How about that? Sound good?
So if you're watching the podcast, hopefully you laughed at my outfit by now with the Chiefs hat and the Terrell Owens Eagles jersey, one of the best Super Bowl performances of all time by a player that I've seen to this day so far. But Ben, I think as my friend Sam asked me last week, the committee got it right.
Yes, I believe so. Even though it was
this
scripted.
Is the two best teams in the league. None of these were like a fringe wild card team that got hot at the end of the year or a fraudulent 1 or 2 seed that had super easy schedule or got, advantage of a lot of, took advantage of a lot of injuries or whatever. I've been seeing that narrative go around with the Eagles, but when you look at the fact
They've
that they
dominated
finished
all
9-1 against winning teams this year and finished first in the most competitive division in football, you got to get out of town, man.
yeah.
And any win in the NFL in general, regardless,
Is hard.
is hard to get. Like in college football, you're beating teams by 40 because you're supposed to. In the NFL, you're beating teams by 7 because of how much of a grind it is. It would be like a college team having to play Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Alabama, LSU, Tennessee, USC, UCLA, Texas, Washington, Kansas State, like all in the same season because all the talent is jam-packed into 32 teams instead of spread out across 130 FBS teams. It's just not the same. So NFL wins matter. But Ben, looking through all the stats, I really think we got the 2 best teams in the league. Let me tell you some offensive categories here. These are all regular season stats, by the way. Total yards, Kansas City first, Philadelphia second. First downs, Kansas City first, Philadelphia second. Points, Kansas City first, Philadelphia second. Expected points contributed, Kansas City first, Philadelphia second. Pause for effect.
And you know what even makes it weirder? It's I got more numbers for you. This is what makes
Tell
it
me
weird.
some numbers.
The Chiefs this year, 16-3 record, overall record, if you include playoffs. 546 points if you include playoffs. 6 All-Pros, including a Kelsey brother and their QB. AFC's number 1 seed. The Eagles this year, 16-3, 446 points. 6 All-Pros, including a Kelsey brother and their QB. NFC's number 1 seed. I'm just saying it gets weird. These numbers are like extremely close and extremely weird. And the fact that you have 2 brothers, by the way, that's never happened in NFL history to go against each other. And like, if you watch their podcast, they're loving
Did you watch this last Wednesday?
Yes, they're loving every moment of it. Also, if you heard Jason Kelsey's wife is pregnant, might give birth like on the day of the Super Bowl
at the game,
bringing her nurse with her.
Nuts,
like,
dude.
Can you imagine a Kelsey Bowl with a Kelsey being born and one Kelsey going home with a win? It's just, that family. But it is so fascinating.
Nuts,
the stories, the numbers, awesome. Josh, give me your take on the Eagles. Since you have an Eagles jersey on, I figured, and I'm wearing green, I figured we would start there.
Yeah, so as I just told you, they're pretty much neck and neck on offense, but I think you start to see a bigger gap on the defensive side of the ball that really favors Philly. So some defensive stats. So sacks, Philadelphia 1, Kansas City is actually 2. Pressure percentage, Philadelphia is 2nd, Kansas City's 5th. Total points allowed, Philadelphia is 3rd, Kansas City's 4th. First downs allowed, Philadelphia is 14th, Philly 14th, I believe, Kansas City 19th. Points allowed, Philadelphia is 2nd, Kansas City 16th. And missed tackles. So who's the better tackling team? It's actually Kansas City. 7th fewest missed tackles, Philly 20th. So I believe is how that, or maybe that's, I gotta check this out because I can't remember if that's the 7th most or 7th fewest. I'm sorry, guys.
We'll awkwardly wait while Josh.
We will awkwardly wait.
But
yeah, dude, bottom line, I'll talk as I'm looking these up.
You don't want me to sing? Or is that what it was? You don't want
Philly
me to sing?
has the edge on defense. And I think even watching the playoff games, like we've really been seeing the defense from Philly, like against the Giants, what was it, 28-0 at halftime or something wild like that. And granted, Brock Purdy did get hurt against the 49ers, but they only allowed 7 in that one. Okay, so missed tackles. Okay, so Kansas City is 7th, as in 7th most. So Philly is the more superior tackling team. So that just plays into the Philly is the more superior defense narrative that I was going with. So it's looking interesting, man. Both teams have been looking really good, pressuring the quarterback, though, too. Granted that last week the 49ers were putting a backup tight end on single coverage on Reddick, and the Bengals are who the Chiefs are playing, so anybody can get 4 sacks on the court, Joe Burrow, in that situation. But it doesn't matter because even when they haven't been playing those teams, they've been getting sacks all season long. So I look at these teams, Ben, and offenses basically cancel out, although you could say Kansas City's slight edge because they're first in all those
Yeah.
categories and Philadelphia's second. But if defenses win championships and offenses are basically equal, should Philly have an edge in this Super Bowl?
Madden says so. Supposedly the Madden
Madden did
thing.
have
Yeah.
Philadelphia winning the
I,
playthrough, and I'm excited to see what Bryce, our friend Bryce, tells me that his Madden playthroughs have been because they've been pretty close to what these final scores have been as well.
I think this. I think it's going to come down to, and we'll talk about our keys here for each team. But
Philadelphia is a 1.5 point favorite right now as we speak.
yeah, so I'm gonna specifically talk about my keys for Philly, and then we'll talk about the Chiefs here in a second.
Sure.
So my keys for Philly are simply this: keep Jalen Hurts upright and keep him healthy. That is the one thing that I think I'm still completely unsure of is how healthy is Jalen Hurts and how much you're going to be able to run him because running the game is a big part. Him running is a big part of that game of their offense of getting him out in space, creating those RPOs that are making the defense think. Because when you don't have that, they're not thinking as much. And I think the second thing is like, can you balance your offense? You know, can you have an equal balance of passing and running? You know, you have Jason Kelce, you have a very good offensive line. Use it. Don't just go half in it. Go all the way. And I think defensive wise, who's going to be the one that is on Kelce and how are you going to contain him and what are you going to do with Mahomes? You know, Mahomes, we know when he gets outside of the pocket, he's very dangerous. Just the throws he makes, the willingness of that. I think those are the main things for me is containing him. You know, what are you going to do with Kelce? Are you going to have a balanced attack and keeping Hurts from getting hurt, pun intended? So those are my thoughts. What are your keys for the Eagles here going into this game?
Keys for the Eagles. I am kind of with you on running the ball. That's been a big part of the offense so far, and Jalen Hurts has been included in that. Um, since a lot of these what was I saying? Oh, since a lot of the stats they're pretty neck and neck in, I think that one thing that's going to be important for defenses is forcing turnovers here. And Kansas City's offense, at least last week, was kind of banged up, missing three wide receivers. Patrick Mahomes coming off the high ankle sprain. Maybe that leads to Philly being able to take advantage of, I guess, some of those unfortunate circumstances. They're able to get maybe an extra turnover there. So I'm going to go ahead and say pressure Patrick Mahomes, rough him up a little bit. It's been something that Philadelphia has been doing most of the season anyway, is pressuring the quarterback. So that's going to play right into it. So I'm kind of with you. Run the football successfully, pressure Patrick Mahomes, and then I guess all the other categories, like convert your third downs, take care of the football yourself, those kind of things. When the battle at the line of scrimmage, that also plays into being able to run the football. But those are my keys. Rough up Patrick Mahomes, establish the run early.
Very good. And I think that is the very fascinating part. Just for the Eagles in general, can they do this? And I think that will be the key for them. Now, Josh, what about the Chiefs? What we got? What do you got to say about the Chiefs? And give me your keys for the Chiefs' keys to victory.
Yeah, so Chiefs keys to victory are going to I guess they kind of play into some of my Philly ones a little bit. Getting to Jalen Hurts, I think, is going to be important for them, especially since I don't think they have the greatest of secondaries, at least compared to Phillies. They don't have the best run stopping defense. So where they do succeed defensively is pressuring the quarterback. And that's going to be, I think, much more important for them to do than it has been or than it will be for Philly, vice versa. I think if I remember from reading the stats right, Kansas City's offensive line has been one of the best in the league in terms of allowing sacks, but Philadelphia's is actually a little bit lower on the edge or lower down in the rankings than what you'd expect, especially even having a more mobile quarterback. So maybe that's a potential mismatch that the Chiefs can take advantage of is getting to Jalen Hurts. So kind of like the same, I guess, key for both sides is getting to the quarterback, mostly for different reasons. But another key to victory for Kansas City is, I guess, spreading the ball out, you can bet that the Eagles are not going to allow Travis Kelce to be the only guy that's beating them. I think that they're gonna much more so want Patrick Mahomes throwing to guys like Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Sky Moore, and I guess whatever wide receivers on the team are still healthy, right? So it's just gonna be, I guess, uh spreading the ball out successfully for Kansas City, getting Jalen Hurts. That's gonna be my keys.
Yeah, I think for me it's twofold here. I think one key that I think should happen this week is how healthy are you? How healthy is Kansas City? How
Right.
healthy
We
is
were we
Patrick
were worried about
Mahomes?
Travis Kelce's back the week before, or I guess, and turns out it wasn't even an issue. He comes out and has a couple, I think, scores and about 80 yards receiving. So he's
Yeah.
not the kid. He's not so much the worry this time. Now it's the quarterback and basically the whole wide receiver group.
Yeah, like how healthy are you on the defense side of the ball and the offense side of the ball? I think the key for me on offense outside of being healthy is can you can again the same thing I said with the Eagles, can you balance for Mahomes? Can you run the ball? If you're the Chiefs, can you run the ball to give Mahomes more of an opportunity for that play action, for the plays that he likes to run? I just feel sometimes the Chiefs get away a little bit from the run and they focus on Mahomes, which is, I mean, he's the best quarterback in football right now. I get that. I guess my thing is will you be willing to run the ball and can it be effective? Because I think if it's effective, it's going to kind of bring defenders down in the box. It's going to force them to make a decision. Do we blitz? Do we fill up the box? And then that makes it easy for Mahomes to be, picking and popping. And I think the other thing is how healthy is Mahomes' foot? If he's healthy, if he's able to play, then I think that opens up a lot of things for rollouts, for scrambles, if he needs to make throws on the run. If it's not, then that can be a concern. But I think
Yeah.
the big thing, that's the big thing for me is can they run the ball? Can they create that almost extra layer of protection for Mahomes in the sense of being able to have that as a blanket? And then the other thing for the offense is can you protect Mahomes from getting hit, taking rough hits, and being able to execute the pass game? For me, that's on the opposite side of the ball. The one thing I have on the defense is simply this. Yeah, I agree with you about getting after Hurts. It's simply this, though. Keep everything in front of you. I think what's going to hurt the Chiefs, and it's hurt them against the Browns in the past in the playoffs, and a couple other teams, is like when they get guys behind them or broken tackles or whatever. I think the biggest thing is keep everyone in front of you, and can you get enough pressure? Can you force Hurts to beat you? Right? Can you force him to beat you? Not the whole team, but force him to make a decision to beat you. Those are my keys. I think you do those things, I think the Chiefs have a very good shot at winning the game.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you, dude. Man, dude. It's tough to say that you want to make Jalen Hurts beat you too, because he's been a guy, and I'm sure you've seen all the storylines
Yeah.
too, that of how he has stepped up in big moments. Even being a freshman at Alabama, being inexperienced, like he's always, I guess, he's a guy that's built for these moments. But
Yeah.
on the flip side, Patrick Mahomes, this is his third Super Bowl in 4 years that he's playing in. So I think experience matters a little bit in this game too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look at the quarterbacks that Patrick Mahomes has gone up against in the Super Bowl. I think the first one that he won was against Jimmy G. I think those were both first time quarterbacks in the Super Bowl at that time. Then he goes against Tom Brady, who has obviously way more experience than Pat Mahomes did, and now he's coming into a situation where he's like, I guess, the vet that's like been in this game before, and Jalen Hurts is the new kid on the block. So I wonder how much I guess the moment's going to affect both quarterbacks, because, like I said, I know the Super Bowl is different, but it's not like Jalen Hurts is a stranger to big time games.
No, I agree with you. I think it's just gonna be a tight game, and I think it comes down to the little things, the little minute
Yeah,
things that are gonna make
I
a
know I
difference.
know that at least as the weeks have gone on, I'm definitely rooting for the Eagles in this one. I don't know
I
if
just don't
that's
care.
I don't know if me wanting the Eagles to win is enough for them to win the game. I guess I
We
could.
know your rate on this, by the way. We know every time you pick a team, they always end up losing.
No. Every time I bet on a team, they always
That's
lose.
okay.
So
Well,
if I want the Eagles to win, that means I have to bet on Kansas City victory, right? And since they're the underdog right now in Vegas, that means that if Kansas City was to win, it would get me plus money. So should I use my powers, Ben, to affect the Super Bowl? Maybe even disrupt the script.
It's not scripted, Josh. For the 30th time, it's not scripted, Josh.
Have you seen all these players coming out about how they've just been following the script, Ben? We know it's real.
Of course, yeah, of course, it's real. Just like everything in life
Alvin
is real,
Kamara
right?
almost stormed out of the team facility after he read the season script, dude.
Yeah, totally buying that. But anyways, we are going to break down now our predictions. Josh, do you want to go first in your prediction? Who do you think is going to win, and why are they going to win, and what is it going to come down to? Those are your three things.
Man, dude, at least right now, I feel like Philadelphia is the healthier team, the more balanced offensively and defensively. The better running team. Like these are all things that tend to matter in the bigger games. At least on the Kansas City side, you're looking at, I guess, a weaker defense that's susceptible to explosive plays. You're looking at a quarterback that, while is super experienced, as I just said, might be dealing with a little bit of injuries as well as a lot of, I guess, 50-50 wide receivers. I don't know what the injury report's going to reveal, but he's going to be missing some of those guys. At least right now, I really like Philadelphia to win this game. And
Okay.
I don't like them to win by a ton. I think the 1.5 spread is pretty accurate. I think this could come down to like either maybe a Kansas City failing to get in field goal range to kick a game-winning field goal, or maybe Philadelphia is the team that's kicking the game-winning field goal. But I don't feel like it's going to be a super high-scoring game either.
What's your
I
score
think
prediction, though? What's your score prediction?
score prediction.
Josh always tries to get out of this. He never likes to give an actual score prediction.
I like saying how much a team will win by because that's a lot
I want a
easier to
score
say.
prediction, Josh.
But score prediction, Ben, is going to be Philadelphia winning 23-21.
Ooh,
Yes?
interesting.
Yes.
I'm going to say, this is what I'm going to say, Josh.
Well, let me just, I guess, explain why I
Yes,
think it's going to
please.
be lower
Yes,
scoring.
please.
Out at Burrowhead Stadium a couple weeks ago, we had two of the highest scoring offenses in the country, dude.
Yeah.
With Cincinnati and Kansas City, and that game was 20-17 final score, was it?
Yeah, I think it was something like
Something
that.
very low like that. And it's kind of been the case even with Cincinnati and Buffalo, 27-10, not as high scoring as what most people would have thought, although major blowout win for Cincinnati in that game. So I don't think anybody's scoring in the 30s. I think that trend is going to continue here.
Interesting. Well, I know that Bryce, if he was here with us, he would be choosing the Eagles, obviously. If he didn't, then there's something wrong in the world. I'm going to go out and say, I think the Chiefs are going to win. I believe even with Mahomes being somewhat limited, maybe he's not going to be, I don't know. But just something about this Chiefs team, it seems like they always find a way. And so I'm going to go Chiefs, but I'm going to be right with you, Josh. I don't think this is a big gap. I think it's going to be, I think Chiefs 27. I think Eagles 20. I think that's just I think it's gonna be in that range. Like I don't think it's gonna be more than that, but I can see it being less than that. So I think it's gonna be 7 points is the most. I think the Chiefs win based on the fact that I feel like Hurts is not gonna get it. I think the offense of the Eagles is gonna struggle at times, being consistent. And I think Mahomes is going to make some of those Mahomes plays and some of those throws to either Travis Kelce or to Smith-Schuster, whoever's healthy on the outside. But I just think, again, I just look at this team. Yeah, they might not have the better defense. Their offense is about the same as the Eagles. It's just hard to go against Patrick Mahomes. And, I think it's going to be a 27-20 victory for the Chiefs. I'm sorry, Bryce. Don't kill me. That's what we'll go with.
By the way, too, if Patrick Mahomes wins, that is his second Super Bowl. And at least in NFL history, that puts him in a 9-way tie for the fifth most in quarterbacks.
And he's only like 23 or something like that. Or no,
Tom Brady at the top with
23.
7, Terry Bradshaw and Joe Montana each with 4, Troy Aikman with 3, and then John Elway, Bob Greasy, Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, Jim Plunkett, Ben Roethlisberger, Bart Starr, and Roger Staubach all with 2 right now.
Fascinating, but that will happen, Josh.
Patrick Mahomes has a chance in this game to put himself at least amongst the NFL's all-time greats at such a young age.
So what do you think of my score prediction, Josh?
Your score prediction, can you tell it to me again?
27-20. I believe it can be no more than 7 points, but I feel like it could be less. But I just feel like at the end, Mahomes, just that little more experience might just give him the edge over Hurts and leading that offense.
Yeah, it very well could be that. I'm with you on the fact that both teams are probably scoring in the 20s in this one. And I mean, quarterback experience is plenty of reason. I just think that Mahomes has a lot of other things working against him. So if he is able to win this game, I mean, that's kind of like your Michael Jordan moment.
Yeah. And
we saw him come back against the 49ers when he initially won a Super Bowl. He had a couple picks in that game and put his team in a bad spot. And then maybe more so based on Kyle Shanahan's history, he blew the fourth quarter lead. But Patrick Mahomes also had to fight to come back into that one. And I mean, he's going to maybe be an even worse of a situation, at least on the outside looking in on this one. But we'll see what happens, Ben. I'm excited for this matchup. Like I told you, I think this is the 2 best teams in the NFL clashing in the Super Bowl. No fringe wild card team on a hot streak or fraudulent 1 or 2 seed getting an easy path in on this one. I think this is the best of the best, and it's going to be a heck of a game.
All I gotta say is what I do know is that it's going to be a win for the Kelce family. One of the Kelce brothers will be going home with another ring, and possibly there could be a chance that Jason Kelce comes home with also a daughter or son. I don't know which, because I don't know those information, but supposedly his wife is going to be 38 weeks pregnant, bringing her nurse with her, and there could be a baby born on the Super Bowl. Wouldn't that be a way, if you won the Super Bowl and became a dad again all in the same night? I'm just saying, it'd be pretty impressive.
It would be. Also, you guys are going to have to definitely check out the New Heights episode coming out Wednesday. That's the last one that's dropping before the Super Bowl. And they were talking about getting their parents on. That'd be wild, I guess.
They're great.
The parent experience of watching your sons, like, whose sideline do you sit on? And
exactly.
I guess, who are you happy for? Like, are you happy when the game's over, or are you like sad when the game's over?
It's fascinating with me because that podcast, like, I just started like barely listening to it. I'm like, this is a great podcast. Like 2 brothers who just don't care but dish out truth. And it is awesome. It's much worth it. It's called, I believe it's called something in the Heights. Yeah. New Heights.
Straight up. Yeah. That one,
they're from Cleveland.
With the boys.
By the way, if you ever know.
There's some
from
good
Cleveland
NFL podcasts right now.
They're from Cleveland, if you didn't know. So they're from the Cleveland area. They were Browns fans at one point.
Cleveland Heights native, Cincinnati Bearcat alum. They are all about Ohio, dude.
If you look at their TikTok, they have
they still talk about Ohio on the show.
They have a photo of them in Browns jerseys that said, "Look before where we were," and then it says, "Look where we are." And they're obviously not in Browns jerseys because no Browns winning the Super Bowl anytime soon.
That'd be really cool if they were.
It would be awesome. I would take it. But ultimately, that is what's going to happen this week. There's going to be a lot of, obviously, commercials. Could be terrible, could be good. But again, below, enter what you think of the commercials. What was your favorite commercial of all time? What you think of halftime shows, what you think of different things, our predictions. Give anything you want in the comments. Drop it below. Let us know. That's what we love to hear from you all, which it makes more fun for us. So Bryce, wow. Bryce is not here. Josh, is there anything else you want to add? I was just trying to make Bryce feel like he was here. Josh, is there anything else you want to add before the end of the show?
Just that the Browns did have a chance to get both Kelce brothers, since Jason was a 6th rounder and Travis was a 3rd rounder. So
there was a chance.
We were close.
We were close. That was all he wanted to add by the end of the way in the show. But anyways, we want to just say thank you guys so much for the continued support. I believe this is episode 77, which is just nuts. It's just nuts. Episode 77, we will be, like I said, after the Super Bowl here, we will be coming out with our mock draft here very shortly. You'll be seeing our mock 1.0. It will be terrible because we've learned last year that Josh and I cannot do mock drafts. Outside of Sauce Gardner, I do want to point out. It's the one I got right. I always point that out, though. But anyways, We do want to say thank you so much for listening. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and click that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. That lets us know that you're listening, watching, tuning in. Comment some below. This week, I want you to comment, what is your favorite Super Bowl food? What is your favorite go-to Super Bowl food? Josh, before I give the last announcement, what is your favorite Super Bowl food? Go. I will give mine.
I'm always I'm going for the dips, man, whether it's the 7-layer dip or the buffalo chicken dip, or someone makes some other kind of like nacho meat and cheese kind of thing to dip chips in. It's like that's the go-to. I could sit there and eat that the whole game, honestly.
You know what I go for? I just go for the Tostitos cheese dip you get in a little jar at Walmart with some Tostitos scoops. Dude, it warm that up in the microwave. Literally could eat that nonstop the whole game. It is just
See, though, Ben, I feel like
delicious.
that's like something you can do any regular season game. You gotta like spice it up for the
It's a
Super
tradition
Bowl a
in Ben's
little
house,
bit.
okay? It's tradition in my place, okay? In my heart.
Tradition in Ben's house. Do they sell Tostitos cheese dip out in Hungary?
No, they don't. Okay, you have to figure out what you're
Bummer,
gonna do with it. It's a
man.
bummer.
So,
Okay.
what are you gonna be eating
Well, I'm gonna be
game day?
sleeping, dude. I'm gonna be sleeping, dude.
Oh
It's
shoot,
freaking
yeah,
like
that's
it's about
true.
like 2 a.m. when this game starts. So I'll be
That is
sleeping.
true. I think 6:30 Eastern time, so that would be 12:30 Hungary time.
Yes, and that
Yes,
means yes. So that means I'll wake up.
getting over about 3:30, 4 a.m. Hungary
Yes,
time.
I
That's
wake up
tough.
about 5. So
That's tough when you got class at like probably 7 or
yes,
8 a.m. too.
yep. So and good thing the Browns aren't playing because I would be literally tired the next day. I'd be taking a day
Hmm.
off of work. But that's
Will you
besides
watch any replay of the game or highlights only?
highlights only because by that point I will have found out because my phone or some idiot would have texted me by then and I would have found out. So, you
Hmm.
know, just go with that. But all I say is I hope you all have a great Super Bowl time. If you love listening on Spotify, make sure you guys go ahead and favorite it, share it, add it all into your profile. That'd be much appreciated. And we hope that you have a wonderful Super Bowl filled weekend, hanging out with friends, hang out with family, get some good food, all that. Order a pizza. I don't know, whatever you want to do, but enjoy it with friends and family. That's what sports are all about. And until next time, we'll see ya.